I had a look back at the first episode of this journey to see what my intentions were and whether or not I've sort of stuck close to it. I was right about one thing. It was going to be a long journey, and that it has been. I wasn't exactly sure of what I was getting myself into. I was just a general who became a slave who became a gladiator who defied an emperor. It's a striking story. Wait, wrong story. No, I was just a mild-mannered plasterer, basic working knowledge of some carpentry, and occasionally a have-a-go jack of some trades. I think I pretty much had a macro-wide vision, but little on detail, as I really didn't know what I was going to do as I went along. It really was a make-it-up-as-you-go project, so I didn't really have a micro vision. So sometimes I had to dial down the macro to stop and think about what I was doing here, what was necessary, what was unnecessary. And yeah, just pretty much made it up as I went along, with a wider macro vision. But the end is definitely in sight. It's so close, I can feel it. It's just too busy and I can't live with it. It's almost illegible that it's flowers and leaves. I'm going to take it off, repaint that colour and rejig my design. I won't need to take it all off, just get it down so that I can coat it. What you just watched was so many weeks ago that I can count it in months. I hit a couple of brick walls. Basically, I hit a financial brick wall where I basically ran out of funds. And I had to put everything on hold while I concentrated on income to bring a few dollars back into the realm. That stencil work that you saw was my first attempt at a decorative finish to my trim. I got that particular rollout stick-on stencil from a site called Maple Tree Vintage online craft store basically. Anyone I mention of where I get these things, I'll link down below. She was very helpful, and I also bought a couple of silkscreen stencils, 2 different designs, which unfortunately didn't work for me because they're a one use. At best you could get 2, but the fine silk screen in the stencil just clogs up with paint, and yeah, they're basically a one use item. And what I wanted to do was kind of use it around about 30 times at least. So the hunt was on for a reusable stencil, and that took a long time. The rollout one you saw, nice design, but incredibly busy. Too busy for my timbers. So I just couldn't live with it. It was very hard to make out what it was when you're walking around because it was just so busy. So then the journey began to, you know, look further afield. A lot of searching, a lot of indecision about designs. Fortunately, I landed on a design that's subtle, and I was able to get it in a reusable stencil, and that was from another site called Gemini Creative, run by Caroline, who was extremely helpful in working out exactly what it was I needed. So again, I'll link Gemini Creative online store, vast array of stencils, so worth a look at if you're looking for stencil work. But I haven't received it yet. I'm still waiting for it to come into the mail, but when I get that, all I need is a day or 2 of really fine, calm weather, no wind, and I can go nuts with my repeatable stencil. In the meantime, there are still other little jobs to do. Little willy wagtails. You guys are just quirky and fun. I can't help thinking you've got the sweetest song of all, Maggie. Yep, you're my favourite bird song. You galahs are fun. I once had one of you as a pet. His name was Jake. You're kind of like the middle class teenagers that like to gather in groups and not cause too much trouble, just gather in groups and eat lollies. You're fun guys. Well, I think we all know your modus operandi. Laugh and laugh often. Thank you for the welcome. Now you guys are the definite delinquents of the bird world. Don't argue. You fly in here en masse, hooting and a-hollering. You guys really are the juvenile gangs who just want to come in and cause a ruckus and rip up the furniture and just scream at each other. You know. Hold still, will you? I'm trying to manipulate your legs. There you go, you got one leg free. You'll get used to it. You didn't complain at all. What do you think of my curtain? It was a good little thrift store find. If you remember from the last video, I mentioned a couple, Julie and Andrew, who had the Clydesdale horses, and that I borrowed the buggy shaft off to, you know, work off measurements and stuff. They know a guy called Brian, who is a lot more informed about, you know, historical carriages and all that kind of thing. And she thought that he might be able to identify what I actually have here. And so they came out for a visit, and Brian indeed did identify what I had. He basically said, I have a original Melbourne brick cart. And so if you think of your modern day semi-trailer bringing a load of bricks to a house build site, well, that's what this thing used to do before semi-trailers or trucks. Therefore, it's basically a 2-ton carriage vehicle that had the capacity to carry 4 ton. So it all makes sense. It all made sense to me anyway, because just the chunkiness of my axles and the wheels just meant that it was, you know, it was a workhorse, so to speak, and therefore it was never drawn by one horse. It would have been drawn by a team, at least 2 or more, probably more than 2. And that's what it is. It's an original Melbourne brick cart. So that was really cool to find out. He also identified the system of brakes that's on here. Not that I have brakes in place or functional or operational, but they're called Melbourne brakes. And I thought, what would they have been called in Sydney? He said they would have been called Sydney brakes. I mean, well, that makes sense. That's an indication of the rivalry between Melbourne and Sydney, Australia, that has been going on forevermore. Far be it for Sydney to call their brake systems Melbourne brakes. No way. Vice versa. So yeah, everything underneath that I've built is an original Melbourne brick cart. Which kind of makes me excited. That probably gives it some value. And then of course, everything that's been built up is an original Mark build. For me, there's no more to do inside. I feel like I've finished. I've just done a basic dress up of the place according to my, you know, budget, which is very low now. So it's all about thrift store finds and things I already have. It's a really, really cozy little Gypsy Wagon, caravan, cabin. I still have a couple of jobs to do to make it even more comfortable and functional. I'm not going to get a fridge, but the fridge space is there, ready to go. Also, if one wants to put a microwave up there. Also, I will be putting a swing out TV bracket. Not very gypsy, but it's also a modern day Gypsy Wagon. It's almost finished. Can you believe it? After all this time. What am I going to follow this up with? I have no idea. But on that note, when I round out this video and close off this series, the longest series I ever thought I would have made, please do stay subscribed and just, you know, kick back, and sometime in the near future there'll be another upload of another project of some new thing, whatever that may be. I really hope you've enjoyed this series. It's been one hell of a challenge for me. Very creative challenge. So many ideas back and forth. Changing my mind. It's been crazy. It's been 100% focus, and you know, something I just can't even let go of when I'm lying down at night. So yeah, it really took over my mind. But it's been fun, and I love it. It's beautiful to me. And so I want it known that this is, once again, I haven't built a traditional gypsy wagon. I've built a traditionally inspired gypsy wagon that I call very much an Australian gypsy wagon, which I hope gives it a level of uniqueness. You certainly couldn't replicate it, put it that way. I don't think I could. As always, folks, stay well, take care of yourselves, and I will see you sometime in the future. Doesn't that look cozy and comfortable?